right. Yes, we made it to episode number 2 of the Nothing to Prove podcast. I can't believe we made it this far. Who knew we'd get past episode 1? But we're here, and by all assumptions and calculations, it looks like we are here to stay. So I want to thank you guys again for joining us one more time here on the Nothing to Prove podcast. I'm your host, Dom Vitalli, and I just want to take a minute here before we get going into anything to really thank you guys for the huge amount of feedback that I got for episode 1. And it was completely overwhelming. And I had no idea that this little idea that I had would reach out and hit so many of you guys. And so many of you guys out there would be interested in actually hearing what I had to say for like a whole hour. But like I said, the feedback has just been unreal, from the emails to the posts to the text to the everything. Like, I've got nothing but good feedback. And don't get me wrong, it's not that I just want to hear the good stuff. I actually want to hear, like, if there's anything you don't agree with, or if there's something that you think that we can do better over here to make the show better as a whole. I definitely want to hear that. But from all accounts, this first go around, the first episode, man, it seems like we're on the right track. And that's what I was hoping for. And I'm hoping that some of you guys that listened to that first episode are here for episode number 2 and all the episodes still to come. And also, I was up in Northern California yesterday on Sunday to wrestle for Premier Wrestling. And I was even awestruck that there's quite a few fans up there that kind of pulled me aside after the show and were talking to me about the podcast and how much they enjoyed it and how much they're looking forward to the next one. And that's crazy to me. Like, people from all over the place want to hear what little old Dom Vitalli has to say about a couple things. So I really do appreciate each and every single one of you guys that is out there listening to the show, because like I said before, without you guys, this is nothing. And I do this for you. I do this as a form of entertainment, to entertain you guys when I can't do so in the ring or otherwise. At least you guys have this to fall back on, press the play button, kick back for about an hour or so every single day. So thank you again. I can't say that quite enough. There was one thing I actually wanted to hit on the premiere episode of the show that I didn't get a chance to. It's only fair that I share with you guys who some of my influences were in regards to getting into this whole podcast game in the first place. So I'm just going to kind of run over some other podcasts that are out there that definitely influenced me, and I definitely feel like you guys would enjoy if you're looking for some time to burn as well, and you get through the old Nothing to Prove podcast here, and you get through that hour without pulling your hair out, and you're willing to listen to some other stuff. Definitely check out shows such as The Kevin Gill Show, hosted by my buddy Kevin Gill. He is one of the best interviewers that I've ever had a chance to listen to. Kevin does a weekly podcast show where he interviews in person different personalities from the world of wrestling, music, video games, whatever it may be. And when Kevin interviews somebody, whether you know them or you don't, you are automatically hooked and pulled into that conversation from about 5 to 10 minutes in. He gives you a sense that you know this person as well as he does, or as well as some others do. And Kevin's show, the Kevin Gill Show, is one of the podcasts that I listen to immediately after it's released every single week. As soon as it pops up, I get a notification that there's a new episode up. I'm downloading it ASAP, and I'm listening to it ASAP, because Kevin Gill is one of the premier podcasters out there. Definitely someone I look up to in the podcast game, and I would be doing him a disservice if I didn't give him the credit where credit's due. So Kevin, thank you for your influence on me and this show. Keep up the great work, and you can catch Kevin's show, The Kevin Gill Show, at thekevingillshow.com. Also wanted to take a chance to thank Dennis Holden from Dennis Has a Podcast. Dennis was a huge help to me in getting ready to prepare this show for launch. He gave me a chance to pick his brain, and he gave me some wonderful advice that he didn't necessarily have to. And I am forever grateful for him and his friendship and the courtesy that he gave me to help me get this going, and get this going in a manner where we knew that it was going to continue on and just wasn't going to try to be like a one-shot deal. He let me know what I needed to do to make sure that I could churn out some content for you guys every single week. So Dennis, thank you very much. If you want to listen to Dennis's show, his podcast is called Dennis Has a Podcast. And ironically enough, I was a guest on his show. It's Dom Vitalli, episode number 181. So if you want to go back and check that out, please feel free to do so. And Dennis always has some real good guests, really funny show. And he's a great interviewer as well. So definitely check those two out. Also, the infamous Michael Rappaport has a podcast. It's called the I Am Rappaport podcast. That's another one of my favorites where I'm listening to that as soon as a new episode is released. And he's usually good for about 1 to 2 new episodes on a weekly basis. And him and his co-host, Gerald Moody, a.k.a. G-Money, a.k.a. G-Mo Netty, whatever you want to call him, those guys are just absolutely freaking hilarious. And half the time, I don't think they're trying to be, but it's such a real show and a real podcast, and their view on things are so unique that it's definitely a show that you guys got to check out. Highly entertaining. And I've been a fan of Michael Rappaport for quite some time. I want to say back in the early to mid 90s, they used to have what was called the Rock and Jock B-Ball Jam on MTV. And it was kind of like they would take some celebrities and some professional athletes and they'd mix them up and they'd do like a recreation basketball game. You know, it was a bunch of gimmicks involved in it and stuff too. It was just, it was for entertainment purposes. And Michael Rappaport was like always on one of the teams, and he was really good. And from listening to his show, he is still very active with basketball, and he's a good basketball player. And it always just struck me how good he was for a celebrity, where he was holding his own against these other guys. So I really took a liking to him there. And I think like the first movie I saw with him in was a movie called Higher Learning, where he played a college student named Remy, who was troubled, to say the least, and went on a bit of a rampage when he just couldn't kind of fit in with the rest of the crowd. So then Michael Rappaport's still doing his thing. He was just a guest host, or not a guest host, a guest star on the show Louie on the FX network. And man, that was a phenomenal role that he played in that one episode. He played an old friend of Louie's, and man, he got rave reviews for that role, and rightfully so. It just really showed, how big of a range that he has as an actor. So definitely go check out the I Am Rappaport podcast. It is not for the easily offended. So if you can't take a couple F-bombs here and there, you might not want to check that one out. But it's one of the more real podcasts out there you'll see, or you'll hear for that matter anyways. Also, the Final Level podcast with Ice-T, the infamous Ice-T. Another great one. He's usually good for one every 2 weeks or so. And him and his co-host, Mick Benzo, they talk about a variety of topics like, sports, movies, TV. He talks a little bit about, the show SVU that he's on, gives a little insight there. Then he always has guests, real interesting guests, and he interviews them, and they kind of just talk about the topics at hand as well. So definitely check that one out. And for you wrestling lovers out there, I probably don't have to tell you guys, but to me, the two top dogs out there as far as wrestling go are the Ross Report by Jim Ross, good old JR, and the Steve Austin Show by the one and only Stone Cold Steve Austin. They always have great guests, and those two are just great interviewers in and of themselves. And you can't go wrong with listening to those two do their thing. And if you want to learn a little bit more about the professional wrestling business and what the right things to be doing are and what the wrong things you may be doing are, Jim Ross and Steve Austin are two of the best to listen to, if not the best. So definitely give those two a listen to if you're a wrestling fan. But those are some of the, like I said, the shows that I listen to, and definitely been influences on me. So thank you guys, all you guys. Keep doing your thing. Keep giving us that entertainment that you guys are so good at turning out. But moving on, let's move on. Let's talk about some things. What we got going on? So like I said, I just returned this morning from Gilroy, California, which is up towards the San Jose area. We wrestled last night for Premier. And Premier is a very different wrestling promotion in that they are mainly focused on what goes on between those four ropes in the squared circle. It's all about the wrestling there. And that's why it's one of my favorite places to work. And if you listen to my first podcast episode, I really talked a bit about the importance of booking quality wrestlers on your wrestling shows and how that really adds to the credibility of your product and what you're trying to do. And I can't give a better example of what a roster should be as far as on the independent level than Premier. There is no weak link on the roster in Premier, and me included, ironically enough. But it's not an idea of me tooting my own horn. Honestly, there's no instance with Premier where you feel like, okay, this guy's here just because they needed a spot to fill. Everyone on Premier can go. And that's what makes for great wrestling matches. And last night's card was a phenomenal card, top to bottom. I had a chance to watch every match last night. I was first match, and I never have a problem with being the first match. If you're a promoter out there and you want to put me on your show and you want me to be the first match, I will do that 6 times till Sunday, all the time. I prefer to go first. But I had a really fun match with a young man named Will Cuevas from the Bay Area, and a match that I really enjoyed. And I got a chance to watch the rest of the card, and everyone on that card last night really busted their hump and did a great job and told some phenomenal stories in the wrestling ring with their wrestling ability and nothing more. They didn't need any type of gimmicks, any type of outside antics. Nothing. It was just the quality of their wrestling and what they could do and their ability. And each and every guy just knocked it out of the park last night. There was one match in particular that I really enjoyed watching it. It was Joe Graves, who's from the Phoenix area. He took on the ace, Buddy Royal, who is one half of the Classic Connection tag team. He's a younger cat out there. And man, these two guys put on an absolute wrestling/grappling clinic, however you want to look at it. Everyone in the back was locked on the monitor watching this match, and rightfully so. And to me, it was the match of the night. And that's not taken away from any of the other matches, because each and every other match could have been a match of the night candidate any other night of the week in any other promotion. But this match in particular really caught my eye because of the technical aspect of it. And for those of you that don't know Joe Graves, he has quite a bit of a extensive background in mixed martial arts, and it shows in his ring work. And I really thought with Buddy not being maybe as experienced as Joe, that it might be a little lopsided. But man, he held his own and stayed with him, step for step. And it was a very impressive display of athleticism that these two young men really put on last night. So I just wanted to give a chance to give them some credit and give them some recognition that they rightfully deserve. And both guys have a really bright future. And if you're a promoter out there and you're looking for some quality guys that are really going to enhance your show and make your show better and make other guys on your show better as well, Joe Graves and Buddy Royal are two of those guys. And Buddy also has a tag team partner whose name is Levi Shapiro. Their tag team is called the Classic Connection, and those two guys together are money in and of themselves. You cannot go wrong with the Classic Connection. And I'd like to see that they're getting their name out there more and more every week, and rightfully so, because those two guys work really hard, and they know what they're doing. And I've had the pleasure to be in the ring against those guys on a few occasions, and those are some of the more memorable and fun matches that I've had in a more recent memory. So definitely keep an eye out for the Classic Connection and a gentleman by the name of Joe Graves. Can't go wrong there. So Premier is doing some really good things. They got a phenomenal staff that works there, from the wrestlers, but also to in the back, their crew, video crew, management, just top notch all around. And here's one thing I wanted to touch on that kind of gets lost in the shuffle quite a bit. At Premier, one aspect that they really shine with, and it may seem minute to some of you guys, but it goes so unnoticed most of the time, and it really shouldn't. And that's the referees. The lost art of the referee is just mind-boggling to me. I don't think many people out there really realize the importance of an actual good referee in a wrestling match. A referee is as important as the other two competitors or four competitors or however many wrestlers are in the match. He's just as important as them. And Premier has two of the very best referees, not only on this side of the country, but two referees that I think are better than most, if not all, refs that I've seen across the country. And they deserve some credit. And those two guys are Sparky Ballard and Tom Castor. These are two of the best refs that I've ever had the privilege of sharing a ring with. And it really goes unsaid how much influence a great referee has on a match and how it can make or break one. And I've never seen an instance where Sparky or Tom has broken a wrestling match. They've only added to it. And these guys are a testament to doing things the right way and just a compliment to the wrestlers they're in the ring with and a compliment to the professional wrestling business in and of itself. And wrestling, especially on an indie level, we need more quality referees like Sparky and Tom. And I just wanted to say thank you to you guys. You guys don't get enough credit, as you should, for all of your hard work, all of your dedication, and taking your role seriously and professionally and doing it the way it should be done. So Tom and Sparky, I say thank you. I know a lot of the boys in the back say thank you as well. Keep doing what you're doing, and good things will definitely come to you guys. But it was a great trip overall. It was a very long drive. I think from start to finish, we left from the time we left town to the time we got back early this morning. It was about 28 hours or so all around. So I'm a little bit tired today, but I'm here for you guys. Like I said, once a week, we're going to be coming to you live with this podcast. And I didn't think it would be a good thing to delay the second episode, only 2 in. So I wanted to stick with the format and get this out to you guys today. So bear with me if I sound a little bit off or discombobulated, but we're making it work. So I wanted to bring something to you guys' attention. I'm not sure if any of you caught this, but there was a story in the news the other day, and I guess you could say to some degree it's wrestling related, but not really. But there was an instance where a teacher in Florida was suspended for using what they call a signal jammer for cell phones to stop his students' phones from working in his classroom. I guess apparently they became a distraction, and it was a distraction to the learning process. So this teacher, he's a science teacher. His name is Dean Liptak, and he went out and got some what these things are called jammers, and they attached it to a cell tower that was located on the campus, and it prevented the kids' cell phones from working. Now, let me just read you a part of this article in case you're not familiar. And the reason I say it's related somewhat to wrestling is because Mr. Liptak here, he was actually one half of a tag team from back in the day called the Power Twins. I believe that their most notoriety came from WCW, maybe in the early 90s. But never made too huge of a name for themselves. But I know myself not being a huge WCW fan way back when, but I vaguely remember them. So I think that's why the story caught my eye in the first place. But it says Liptak said he had an override button for the device in case of emergencies, and he also said he checked with a local police officer who told him that using a jammer was legal. The science teacher wrote a letter that explained why he set up the signal jammer. And this is what Mr. Liptak wrote. He says, "I'm writing this letter to tell my side of the situation involving my use of a cell phone jammer in my classroom. My intent for using the device was to keep students academically focused on schoolwork. It is counterproductive to stop instruction and lose academic focus when I have to tell a student to put his or her cell phone away. It is also unproductive to confiscate a cell phone, put it in a school-approved box, and keep it until the end of the period. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't see anything wrong with what this guy did. If you're a student in a class, you're there to learn, whether you want to be there or not. You're not there to play Candy Crush on your phone or scroll through Facebook and cause unnecessary teenage drama, which most teens do in their spare time. And the worst part about this is that the parents really fought this guy and the school to punish him for this. And their basis for their argument was, well, what if there was an emergency and the cell phones weren't working because of this jammer? Then what? Well, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard. Because when I was in school, and I don't want to sound like an old man, and back in my day, but it's true. When I was in school, we didn't have cell phones, especially in high school. They were just starting to become prominent just as I was graduating from high school. But I don't understand how this isn't even an argument. I don't even understand how this is up for debate. If you're a student, you go to school to learn. If you pull your cell phone out, either get it taken away or get suspended or whatever it is. But this guy didn't want to go through all that, and I don't blame him because it's a headache because he's going to be constantly doing it. If it's not one kid, it's going to be another. And if it's not him, it's another. And it's an ongoing process. So why bother interrupting the learning process, like he said, when you can do something as simple as get one of those little jammers, I guess that's what they're called, put it in, and problem solved. Don't have to worry about kids messing around on their phone anymore because they have no reception, and now they don't know what to do. And if they don't have their cell phone and don't know what to do, one of their only options left is to pay attention. And if you're a parent defending your kid for their cell phone not being able to be working in class, shame on you. Shame on you. Because of a cell phone. And you know that 99.9% of kids that are fucking around on their cell phones aren't doing it for a productive manner. They're doing it to fuck around. So good for you, Liptak, Mr. Liptak Dean, Mr. Power Twin. That's a pro wrestler right there, laying down the law. I love it. And I wouldn't have handled it any differently. And people are saying, oh, he's a little bit out there, this guy. He used to be a pro wrestler. What does that have to do with anything in regards to this situation? Nothing. It has nothing to do with the main issue at hand. And the main issue at hand is kids are given too much leeway these days. Too much. It's like people have to be scared to punish these kids for the dumb shit they're doing. And believe me, kids do some really dumb shit nowadays. I know I did some super dumb shit back in my day. And to be honest with you, I spend quite a bit of time with kids these days. I work closely with kids from a mentoring capacity, trying to guide our youth into a positive path, so to speak. And no matter how hard I try with these kids, they do some dumb shit. And that's okay. Everyone messes up. But to enable this dumb shit to continue, especially from a parent or a guardian, that's where we're messing up. And I can't fault this guy, this teacher, for doing what he did. I can't. He's got a job to do. His job is to show up Monday through Friday and teach these kids science because he's a science teacher. His job is not to play cell phone confiscator. If someone's disruptive, cut out the distraction, cut out the disruption. And that's exactly what he did here. Now, he could have just, if these kids are messing on their cell phones, say, okay, hit the bricks down to the principal's office. But really, what is he doing if he does that? He's not doing the kids any favors. He's just getting rid of the headache. Just get rid of the real headache. And the real headache's the cell phone issue. And he did exactly what he needed to do. So good for you, Dean. Can't say enough about your efforts and what you did here, man. Keep doing your thing. Don't worry about what anyone else says. And if they want to shit talk you, tell them to fuck off. Okay. This could get interesting. This could get very, very interesting. So if you saw one of our posts earlier this week, a lot of you guys are looking forward to this segment. But in honor of the Entourage movie being released this past weekend, it's brought some things to my attention that I feel like I need to bring to your attention if they have not already been. Now, the movie Entourage, or let's just say the Entourage vehicle itself. When I discovered this show on I believe it was on Showtime, about over 10 years ago, it had to be. I think I started watching that show. And yes, guilty as charged, I was a diehard Entourage fan. And I think that was like 2002, 2003, right around in there sometime. But when I discovered this show, I thought that these guys on this show, these characters, were the coolest motherfuckers in the world. And if I could have the perfect life, it would be to be one of the Entourage guys. Now, mind you, when I was thinking this and I first discovered these gentlemen, I was about 23 years old or so, right around there, 21. And that is the perfect douchebag age range, so to speak. So, in honor of the Entourage movie being released this past weekend, I am going to lay down the list of 10 ways to spot a douchebag. Now, again, guilty as charged. I have been a douchebag in my life many times. Still can be a douchebag to this very day. I probably do some pretty douchey things as it is, even today. Not ashamed to admit that. But the Entourage entity is what douchebags are all about. The characters in this show, in this movie, are the biggest douchebags in all of the land. And unfortunately, you got your 20-somethings that think these guys are the shit. And again, if they could have the perfect life, they want the Entourage life. Now, hey, nothing against the actors themselves. Nothing against that. I'm speaking specifically character-based. Big-time douchebag stuff going on here. Kevin Connolly, who's the I think he plays, the character's name is E, which I think is for Eric. I'm not sure. Anyways, he's a little redhead guy in the whole Entourage ensemble. This guy is actually he's really talented. He actually produced one of those ESPN 30 for 30 documentaries about the New York Islanders, which was phenomenally good. And I highly suggest that you check it out if you can. I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head. But it was really well done. And he did a great job on that. The guy who plays Ari, Jeremy Piven, phenomenal actor. There's no taking that away from the guy. He's a phenomenal actor. And actually, I was at an H2O concert at the Gramercy Theater in New York City a couple of years ago, and he was there and just fucking hanging out. And hey, if you're going to an H2O show, that's fucking bonus points for me. So Jay Pivs, I'm not gonna fucking talk shit about you, man. Keep doing your thing. Like I said, he's a great actor. His role a little douchey, but whatever. He's getting paid, right? And then the other three guys, I couldn't tell you another thing that they've done. And I'm not taking a shot at them, but I guess I just don't pay attention or whatever it is. But anyways, so let me lay down the law. Let me lay down the list. Again, it's 10 ways to spot a douchebag. And now if I offend any of you guys out there, and I'm like 100% sure somebody out there listening, you're going to hear something that's going to kind of strike a nerve with you and be like, oh man, that's me, but fuck you, Dom. Hey, that's the case, man. Nothing personal, but I'm just letting you know, I'm trying to help you. And again, just remember, I have been in your shoes. I have done the douchey stuff. I still do the douchey stuff. Maybe not some of these things on this list that I'm going to lay out to you right now, but from an overall scope, I have done the douchebag stuff, have been a douchebag. Some may say still am a douchebag, but whatever. Hey, man, like I said, a long time ago, I realized I don't really care what other people think about me. And once you guys, if you don't have that way of thinking, once you guys realize that it doesn't matter what someone else thinks of you, life is so much better. So just take this list for what it's worth. We're trying to have some laughs here. Again, some of these things, they might, apply to you, but you can either say, fuck it, whatever, that's funny. Or you can get all bent out of shape and stop listening to the show. And if that's the case, maybe you shouldn't have listened to the show in the first place, because you got to have some thick skin to be over here with us, man, because we're all about having fun and enjoying the ride, and we're not taking personal shots at anybody unless it's warranted. But here we're not pointing out anyone in particular, except the Entourage douchebags. But again, they're just characters that you see on TV. So let's get on into it. The 10 ways to spot a douchebag. Number 10. Decals. Now, when I say decals, let's say you're driving down the street and you see a guy, and it could be a girl, in their vehicle, and they have these decals on their window, which are so fucking annoying. We don't need to know how much you love Monster energy drinks. We don't want to know, and we don't care. Also, not even to that big of an extreme, we don't give a fuck about how big your stick figure family is. And if you have a dog, nobody cares. Decals, please stop. And there's so many other ones that I could mention. And to be honest, it's the ones that overdo the decals that really ruin it for everyone else. Now, I'm not going to hold somebody who, let's say, has one small decal in the bottom corner of their back windshield that represents their favorite sports team. That's not bad. I can understand that. I could get behind that. Okay, cool. Showing some support. But it's the other people that have fucking 5, 6, 7 of these things, not only on their side windshields, but their side windows, their bumpers, on the trunk. It's like, give me a break, man. Give me a break. How much of your personality do we need to see on your goddamn vehicle? Nobody cares that much. No one wants to know you that much that if they're driving behind you. I don't care what your beliefs are. Doesn't matter. Decals, that's a very douchey thing to do. Okay, so number 10 wasn't that bad, right? So we're moving on. Let's try number 9. And a lot of you guys probably called this one right off the rip. And number 9 is affliction and or tap out shirts. And now I know automatically there's some friends of mine that are listening to this right now that are guilty of that one. And again, nothing personal to you guys. I'm just letting you know that ship has sailed. Now you can take my advice or not. And if you don't, I completely understand, seeing how I'm the furthest thing from a fashion plate you'll ever see. I have zero fashion sense whatsoever. I live in basketball shorts and t-shirts. So who am I to say what's in style and what's out of style? But I can say that myself and many others like me, if we see someone coming into an establishment that we are at and we see you with an affliction shirt or a tap out shirt, automatically going through our minds is, wow, what a fucking douchebag this guy is. I'm sorry, but it's true. It's true. And it's not that you necessarily gave the bad stigma to the affliction tap out thing. It's the douchebags that gave the bad stigma to the tap out and affliction thing. You see, what happened was, a long time ago, mixed martial arts became very, very popular in the general public. And everybody that purchased one of these shirts, which are somewhat affiliated to mixed martial arts, thought they were a tough guy or thought they were a badass because they were wearing the shirts. Well, needless to say that the vast majority of these people were giving the actual people that respected mixed martial arts a bad name. And they would pop off at their mouth, act like douchebags, and 9 times out of 10 get their ass kicked. Which, basically was the general public was doing everyone a favor by kicking these guys' ass. So it got a little out of hand at some point, and that stigma just continued to carry over to Affliction and Tap Out. Now, kudos to WWE. I believe they have some kind of partnership now with Tap Out, and they're trying to reinvent the brand. And that's exactly what needs to be done, because it's got a bad rap as far as from a douchebag level. Affliction still does, I believe, and I don't know too much about it, but I think they're just kind of still doing their same thing, still churning out some butt ugly t-shirts, and everyone keeps wearing them and thinking they're a fucking tough guy. Hey, okay, keep doing your thing. But just remember, if you do, people are thinking that, whether you know it or not, that you just might be a douchebag. Moving on. Number 8. Fedoras. Ah, yes, fedoras. Those funny-looking hats that everyone thinks look cool and that they can wear without anyone batting an eye. But in actuality, it's an alarm for potential douchebag spotting. And it pains me to say that, again, because I know some people that wear fedoras and they're freaking awesome people, man. And, you know, if that's your thing, that's your thing. And, you know, to be honest, I can respect you if you wear a fedora and you wear it because that's your thing. You know, that's you. But if you're wearing a fedora because you're going out to the club, I guess, I don't even know if they wear fedoras at the club. I don't know. Or if you're the big thing. Oh, okay. So the big thing out here in Phoenix, obviously it's hot as balls out here all the time. And especially with it being the summer now, we're in June. So it's getting up to the mid 110s, 115s in that area. And the big thing around this area is pool parties at like hotels and things like that, like resorts. And all the kiddies, they like to go there and get drunk and act stupid and do their thing. And hey, whatever floats your boat, that's fine. Just don't hurt yourself or others. But I see pictures on social media of everyone, you know, partying at the pool, and the dudes, not all of them, but a big chunk of them, have rocking the fedoras, and you look so stupid. And it's so obvious that you are doing it to try to fit into some sort of trend, or you think it's hip, or whatever the case may be. It's different than those guys that actually wear it because maybe they have some sense of style. Again, I don't have a sense of style. But again, you look at a guy like Bray Wyatt from WWE, grimy looking, greasy motherfucker. He wears a fedora, but it fits him because he wears a fedora all the time. So unless you wear a fedora all the time, or unless your name is goddamn Frank Sinatra, you have no business wearing a fedora because you look like a douchebag. This is my public service to you. Knock that shit off. Okay, moving on. Number 7. Number 7. Okay. Number 7, fluorescent clothing. Why is there a need to bring back the 80s and show all this fluorescent yellow, pink, green, blue coloring? I get it. Once in a while, you know, stand out a little bit. That's okay. But man, like, it's getting outrageous to where like people got like shoes with personalities now, and you know, these bright ass yellow shirts, and for some reason, and I don't know why this is, but the main culprits with the fluorescent clothing are at the gym. And believe me, I'm not fucking living my life in the gym. Take one look at me. That's pretty obvious. But when I'm there, it's like I got to wear sunglasses because all these bright ass colors. And it's like, are you trying to draw attention to yourself? And if so, you're doing it in a really dumb way because you look stupid. Now, if you're a giant bodybuilder guy and you're wearing fluorescent at the gym, keep doing that because I'm not going to talk shit about you because I don't want you to kick my ass. So keep doing your thing. But the fluorescent color thing is, it's annoying to the eyes, I guess. Man, like, it brings back good memories from like the late 80s, early 90s and stuff like that when I was a kid. But it screams I'm trying too hard, especially in a social atmosphere, in a social setting. So just, again, keep that in mind. But again, I'm no fashion plate. I don't know anything. I'm not fucking Calvin Klein over here. What do I know? But just trying to help you guys out. All right, moving on to number 6. And there was a toss-up with number 6. And I had two things. I made a general list at first, and I was trying to piece it together by rankings. And these two things I think kind of fit together. So I put them together as one. So number 6, the sixth way you can spot a douchebag would be if they drive a dirt bike or a big lifted truck. I don't get it. Unless you're fucking Gravedigger, what's the point of having this big goddamn truck that you can barely step into, that's ungodly loud, that wakes people up when you're driving it down the street? It's just something I never understood. And maybe it's the lack of empathy I have for like a country bumpkin type personality. Like, I don't get the whole hillbilly thing. I just don't get. I'm more of a city guy. I guess you could say. I don't like getting my hands dirty. Let's put it that way. And I'll be straight up with you. I'd rather pay someone to fix something for me than fix it myself. But that's just me. If I knew how to fix some shit, I'd probably do it myself. But it's like these guys with these big ass trucks and these dirt bikes, they're so overbearing and so over the top, and they're so goddamn annoying that they lodge themselves into that douchebag category nice and snug. And I've never seen someone that drives one of these types of trucks or dirt bikes. I never seen them in public not acting like a giant fucking asshole. And if I did see them acting like a normal, civilized human being, then they wouldn't even be on this list in the first place. But I can't recall a single instance where I've seen someone who owns one of those vehicles that fucking acts like a normal person. They all act like a jabroni. So that's why you're on the list. And you're lucky you're only on the fucking list at number 6, because I could have easily put you in the top 3. But I figure I'd give you a break, because I'm sure there's some people out there that drive those type of things and aren't douchebags. And hey, man, cool for you. But they just realize, just like the Affliction shirts, there's guys out there that are giving you a bad name. So I just got to bring it to everyone else's attention. All right, so we're halfway home. We knocked out the first 5. So here are the top 5 ways to spot a douchebag. Number 5. Faux hawks. Yes, a faux hawk, which essentially is a fake mohawk. Now, if you don't know what a faux hawk is, like I said, it's a fake mohawk, but it's basically a guy, I guess it could be, or a girl as well, with a normal quote unquote haircut, but they take some product, whether it's gel or mousse or whatever it is, and they mush their hair to a point from both sides, so it looks like a mohawk, but it's actually not. They can put it back down and their hair will look normal, so to speak. Why bother with a faux hawk? Obviously, you want the look to look like a mohawk. Just grow a goddamn set of balls and cut a goddamn real mohawk in your hair. But no, that would be too dramatic for some. Some people just want to fit a certain look. They don't want to commit. That's what I call a poser. Now, that's a completely different list. I could come up with a list of 10 ways to spot a poser, like in about 5 minutes. But I'm not going to go there. But it's kind of like a carryover, this one, the faux hawk. It's like a poser / douchebag. Because let's face it, posers are douchebags in the grand scheme of things. But if you're rocking the faux hawk, just do yourself a favor and don't or fucking commit to that shit and wear a real one. Because you're not fooling anyone, you look stupid, and you look like a kid that's afraid to take a step and grow a set of balls because of what your mom or your daddy's going to say your hair looks like. So knock that shit off. Moving on, number 4. Number 4. And this one, okay, this one's only going to apply to men. This one I won't say applies to women. Number 4 way to tell if you're a douchebag or to spot a douchebag. White sunglasses, especially big ones. Why the big sunglasses if you're a guy. Why? You're not goddamn Paris Hilton on the red carpet. You don't need a big set of sunglasses. Can't you be modest? Can't you just wear a regular pair of sunglasses that don't stick out like a sore thumb that scream, I need attention. Please look at me. No, that's what a podcast is for. That's what screams you need attention. Look at me. No, I'm just kidding. But white sunglasses. I mean, everyone that male-wise that I've seen, they not necessarily bad people, again, but you see them and you just want to punch them in their face because they look like a goddamn douchebag. And they're usually the block, or not block ones. They're usually like square. And it's like, you look like a complete dipshit. No wonder why everyone is saying shit about you as you walk in. That one just really strikes a chord with me. That's probably not as bad as the others, but for some reason, that one really chaps my ass for some reason. So I'm going to move on before it gives me a coronary. So we'll move on to number 3. And this one's a touchy one. This one could go either way. And number 3 of the top 10 reasons to spot a douchebag is someone that posts or takes too many selfies. Again, that might not apply for women. I think women can get away with that. But men? Oh, God. And I'm not saying you can't post a selfie or take selfies here and there. I do. I'm guilty of that. Guilty as charged. Send me away. Throw me in a douchebag concentration camp if that's the case. But my God, for fucking you to post a selfie of yourself every day or 4 or 5 times a week, I mean, it's a little overdone. And at that point, you really got to ask yourself, are you really that full of your own bullshit that you really need to put that out there that often? Like, are you really that insecure with yourself? That's what I see. I see someone that posts that shit all the time, and without an actual genuine reason behind it, you're just very self-conscious person, and you need the approval of others, and you need to feel loved and appreciated by others in order to feel good yourself. But hey, I'm no sociology or psychology. I guess it'd be psychology major. I could be wrong. Again, I'm not a genius. I'm not an expert in everything. I could be wrong, but in this case, I'm probably not. So dudes, if you're out there and you're rocking mad selfies a week and you're putting them on the Instagram or the Facebook, you need to knock that shit off because you're looking a little bit thirsty and it's not a good look for you. All right, number 2. Number two way to spot a douchebag is sandals. There is no reason to wear sandals unless you are at a beach, a pool, or a locker room. There's no reason. No one wants to see your funky ass feet because the majority of the time, a guy's feet are fucking disgusting and no one wants to see that shit. And again, this only applies to guys. It doesn't apply to girls. Girls, wear the sandals all you want. Do your thing. That's fine. But guys, come on. It's kind of like you're wearing sandals and you're like, fuck it. I give up on life. That's the way I see it. It's someone that doesn't give a shit or someone that's afraid they got early onset diabetes and they got to let their feet, run free. I guess that could be another reason that for someone to be able to rock sandals, in the everyday. If you got like a medical condition, you can't keep your feet closed in and stuff like that. Okay. That one, we'll add that one to the list of swimming pool, beach, and locker room. Okay. Medical condition. That's fine. But usually the culprits are just douchebags being douchebags, rocking sandals for no reason. And if you fucking wear sandals with goddamn jeans, so help me God, I will tell you how stupid you look, and I might just drop the douchebag word right to your face. And I've done it before. I've done it before without hesitation because I was afraid this person just didn't realize what they were doing to themselves and how silly they look. Okay? It's not 1968. This isn't Woodstock. You're not a goddamn hippie unless you're a hippie. But come on, let's be real here. They're usually just like frat guys that are wearing sandals or former frat guys. So they kind of just, again, really fit into that douchebag mentality. So stop it with the sandals. You look stupid. You look silly. And what if you get in a fight or you're getting chased down by the cops or something like that? You going to run in sandals? No, you're not. Put some goddamn sneakers on or some shoes. Look like a man, for God's sakes. All right. So that's the top 9, which leaves us to number 1. And I had a really hard time figuring out kind of how we were going to go about determining what the main thing was where you could spot a douchebag. And I know I focused a lot in the first 9 with like clothing and material things and stuff like that. But number 1 had to be something a little bit different. I thought it couldn't be so transparent. So I think I got it. So the number 1 way to spot a douchebag is someone with a personality that likes to say, or actually says, things like, "Do you know who I am?" Or, "You don't know who you're dealing with here." Basically, someone that verbally will tell you or let you know that they think they're better than you. Remember, guys, nobody is better than anybody else. Again, this whole list is for fun. It's for entertainment. And let's be real, if you want to fucking wear sandals and in a goddamn fedora, knock yourself off, man. You know what I mean? I'm not going to fucking set you on fire for doing it. But there are actually people out there that honestly think they're better than others when they've gone through the same struggles or gone through the same shit that other people have, or if they just had life a little bit easier way at life. And they feel like they're entitled to talk down to other people. You guys are the real douchebags. You're no better than anyone else. Because the last time I checked, when each and every one of us got cut open, our blood's red. So we're all the same on the inside. So watch the way you treat people. Treat people with respect. Treat people the way that you want to be treated. And don't be a douchebag. Man, this was fun this week. We switched it up. We changed the pace a little bit, changed the format, but I really enjoyed it. I really liked what we had this week, and man, time kind of flew by. That's for sure. So let's wrap this up. But we got a couple of things, and of course, we got a lot of good feedback last week for our follow of the week. Which, if you guys listened to the first episode, it was a page called Ric Flair Was There, and I told you that was going to be worth your time. And they just continue to keep delivering. So that brings us to this week's follow of the week. And this week it's going to be a page called Baseball Card Vandals. I'm not sure if you've seen this. This has been around for a little while. But Baseball Card Vandals is essentially, I don't know if it's a guy or a group of people or whatever, but they take old baseball cards or sports cards, whatever it may be, and they take just a plain black Sharpie and they vandalize these cards and they make them into something hilarious. It's kind of hard to explain. You got to see it, but just for example, I'm just looking at their most recent stuff. They got an old baseball card and they changed one of the baseball players to look exactly like Daria Morgendorfer from the show Daria from back in the day. This one, I'll let you guys just deal with that one. I don't want to talk about that one. They got another one where it's an old baseball card and they got the guy and they changed like the lettering and stuff too. So they changed one guy into Napoleon Dynamite, looks exactly like him. This one's an old Steve Howe card. Steve Howe, if you're an old baseball fan, you'll know exactly who Steve Howe is. Had his fair share of trouble. Former Yankee. But most of his troubles became before he was a Yankee. Anyways, it's just him staring at, and they just wrote in, "I wonder," and then they used the part of his name and they scribbled out the rest. This is How, and they scribbled out part of pitcher, so they left her. And the rest was they added in fart smell. So it says, "I wonder how her farts smell." It's just him sitting there standing. It's hilarious. You got to see this stuff. Sounds juvenile and a little immature, but definitely go check it out. You can find them on Twitter. At BSBL Card Vandals. And they're also, I'm pretty sure they are on Facebook. If you just search Baseball Card Vandals, you can see them there and you can go back and check all the old cards that they vandalized and give you a good laugh, just like the whole Ric Flair stuff from last year. So I hope you guys enjoy that. That's it for this week. I just want to say again, thank you guys for joining us here on the show. I had a lot of fun this week on minimal sleep. But we went like a trapeze artist without a net. We just kind of went with it, and I think it went all right. Again, guys, catch the latest episode every week on the website, nothingtoprovepodcast.com. Also, please feel free to send me back any comments, questions, suggestions, topic suggestions too. If you want me to talk about something, again, I might not talk about it the immediate episode after, but I'm going to keep track of all that stuff. You can send those ideas or questions, whatever, to our email address, which is mail@nothingtoprovepodcast.com. That's the best way to get a hold of the show here on out. That'll get you a response a lot quicker than like Facebook messaging and stuff like that. To be honest, I don't really use it all that much. So use the email, mail@nothingtoprovepodcast.com. Also follow us on Twitter at NTP podcast, or again, you can follow myself, Dom EL Bomb. That's Dom the Bomb in Spanish, and that's on Twitter. Also on Facebook, go ahead and like our page. Just search Nothing to Prove Podcast. You can find us on YouTube as well under Nothing to Prove Podcast. And please subscribe to the show, whichever avenue it is that you receive the show every week and listen. If it has a subscribe button, please subscribe to the show. That way, you don't miss an episode whenever a new one's dropped every week. It'll go straight to your preferred device, so that way you can listen to the show ASAP. And go ahead and leave some feedback as well after you subscribe. That definitely helps us out. It gets the word out there about the show, and hopefully get some more listeners. And again, spread the word. Let your friends know about the show. Hopefully they'll enjoy it as much as you. If you've been here this long this week, listen to the show, and you're here for episode 2. Share the wealth. Let everyone know what we're doing over here, and the good things are still to come from the Nothing to Prove show. So again, thank you guys for joining us. I will be back next week with another episode. You can count on that. In the meantime, be good to each other and do good for each other, and we'll see you next time.